It's the 70s, and we have Spider-Man battling Tarantula on a boat when along comes the Punisher. Wow, can it get any more random than that? Welcome to Kevin's Commentary on Comics. It's August 1974, and we have The Amazing Spider-Man number 135 to take a look at today, Shootout in Central Park. Written, as always, by Jerry Conway, with art, as always, by Ross Andrew. Now this one starts out like the last one ended, with the Punisher pointing his rifle at Spider-Man's head while he lays on the deck of a boat after getting drugged by a foot spike in his leg. That was done by the aforementioned Tarantula. However, a determined Spidey may be down but never out, and he whacks the gun out of the Punisher's hands. Spidey tries to reason with the Punisher, but he is not having it. They fight, and basically that allows the Tarantula and his men to get away. The Punisher follows by diving into the ocean, and I guess they hadn't quite nailed down the character of Frank Castle yet, because I don't think he would shout out, "Adios, amigo!" Just doesn't sound like the Punisher to me, and least of all, he certainly wouldn't smile like that. So Peter changes back into his civvies and decides to flail around in the ocean like he'd been pushed overboard. And actually, this is a reasonable explanation, to be honest. There's a lot of stuff going on in the boat when Tarantula and his men took over, and he could have very easily fallen over. Plus, Peter has a history of being a bit of a nerd, so that helps with the whole thing as well. So, kudos to Pete for coming up with a nice way of getting out of people wondering, hey, what happened to Peter? Spider-Man's here. Where's Peter? He's never around when Spider-Man's around. So after he gets back home and is taking a shower, Harry Osborn digs into Peter's clothes. He finds his costume. He menaces at the reader, kind of looking at the reader, the panels, breaking that fourth wall, and then he walks away. It was really kind of creepy. I guess we just needed a reminder that Harry knows Peter is Spider-Man, but really, that whole scene was really, really weird. Later that night, Spider-Man meets up with the Punisher at a museum at Fort Tryon, and they begin to track down the Tarantula. Now, this is the Punisher's hideout, and he has all kinds of information on the Tarantula, including slides depicting the Tarantula's origin. Basically, the Tarantula was a terrorist type from South America who became kind of the Captain America of sorts for this unnamed South American country. He's as bad as he can get with a taste for killing anyone, whether they're on his side or not. So obviously, he needs to be taken down. So the two heroes, Spidey and the Punisher, go to where the Tarantula is hiding, which the Punisher happened to know about the entire time. So I guess it was good that Spider-Man knew the background of the Tarantula, but was it necessary? It seems like the Punisher was just wasting time telling Spider-Man about all this, letting this killer madman stay free. Again, maybe I'm looking at the mid-70s Punisher and trying to compare him to today's Punisher, and it's probably not fair. I don't think the current day Punisher would first of all, would want Spidey's help, and certainly, if he knew where the bad guy was hiding out, that bad guy would probably already be dead. Another disturbing thing is the number of times in this issue the Punisher calls Spider-Man my friend. Again, not very Punisher-like. So the two actually set up a pretty good trap. The Punisher goes in, Tarantula tries to escape, where Spidey is waiting outside. Spidey and Tyranny? No, that doesn't sound right. They fight it out, and I guess Tarantula just gets lucky enough because, honestly, this should have been a really quick fight for Spider-Man. Tarantula may be trained well. I doubt if he's at the Captain America level, but probably trained as a good fighter. And he has those nifty spiky boots, but Spidey really should have just webbed Tarantula's feet together while the Tarantula was jumping at him, and then just swung him into the wall. Done. He's out. Eventually, Spider-Man does finish him off by throwing Tarantula into the water. I don't know why that would have defeated him, but I guess maybe the Tarantula can't swim or something. I don't know. But it's during this fight that we find out why the somewhat staged slideshow of the Tarantula's origin is necessary. While Spidey is beating the Tarantula up, he talks about why the Tarantula is just a scumbag because he's a traitor and he turned his back on the people who were trying to free themselves from a dictatorship. All the Tarantula was doing was just looking out for himself and his own twisted ego. Now the Punisher overhears this and asks Spidey, was Spider-Man really that idealistic? Of course Spider-Man is, and Spidey asks the Punisher if he has any ideals. And Punisher says, well, he did once, but that was a story for another time. Of course it is. We were probably obviously talking about the fact that the Punisher watched his wife and family get gunned down by mobsters. That would certainly take away probably any idealistic notions you might have. So we're at the end of this issue. Well, I say we're at the end of this issue, except we do have this one scene of Harry Osborn going into a secret headquarters and still looking pretty creepy. What's in this headquarters? Come on. Do you really not know? I'll give you a hint. The Green Goblin shows up next issue. There. Spoilers. So I'm Kevin, and that was my commentary. It is interesting to see the Punisher in his early days. They definitely had his motivations nailed down, but hadn't quite fully developed his personality. He was still a little too chummy, but hey, his grimness came with time. And really, this is probably the starting point of when we see shiny, happy superheroes go to the grim and gritty ones. I'm sure The Dark Knight Returns is probably the actual corner, but the seeds were certainly planted here. So next time I'm going to run through actually several issues of Spider-Man, just touching on some major events and some threads that lead up to the big story arc featuring the Jackal. Kind of feel like I've strayed off from where I wanted to go with the set of episodes dedicated to Spidey, but man, these issues are just too good, so I had to talk about them. So stay tuned for that episode, and you know how to do that best, don't you? Why, it's that little old subscribe button. And help a brother out by liking and sharing this video so we can spread the good word of my comic book commentating. Until next time, don't just make it a good day, make it a great day, and I will see ya.